Hey, everybody. This is Jeff Finn. I am CEO at RealNex, and once again joined by Tim Creagh, our lead developer. We're going to share with you just a few minutes a great uh, number of new tools and updates to the RealNex system. Great new additions to deal rooms and to leasing reports, to keyword searches, and a whole lot more. We're really excited about the progress, and not just this month, but throughout the year. It's been an incredible year of progress on the RealNex platform and the RealNex community. And want to thank you all for all of your support during the year and your participation on these That's Creagh sessions. One of the things that we want to do going forward is build even more engagement and better engagement and have more collaboration, sharing, and feedback from the community. So we're looking to build out a RealNex user group. And if you think of yourself as a power user and one of the leaders in how you're using RealNex, why don't you raise your hand in the system right now? I'd love to see how you're feeling. Because there's so many great names and people that have been joining the program and the That's Creagh over time. It's good to see you coming back, and a lot of people are here to learn, but a lot of people can also impart. And so one of the things that we want to do next year is have some of you take part in some user group case studies, best practices, application of how you're putting RealNex to use, and just love to get your feedback. And if you think it's a good idea to build a user group, perhaps in Facebook, a community, and we'll do some Facebook Live presentations that Tim will lead, I'll lead, or others on the team will lead. But we'd like to have some of you lead as well with some things that you're doing that you think are great, but also if you think it would be valuable for you to participate and learn from one another on how to put RealNex and the CRE tech tools that we have to best advantage. So if you could maybe send me a note in the chat or just by email to jfin@realnex.com if you think you might be interested in leading a session and what you think you could lead on, as well as if you think building a user group would be a great idea and if you'd like to participate in that, so we can make sure that we build it and include you and get you engaged and as proficient and realizing as much value from RealNex as you can as we go into 2020. So once again, we're really excited to have you here, have Tim with us to share all the latest and greatest. And thanks again, Tim. I'll turn it over to you. And again, send me a note if you'd like to participate in this user group, if you'd like to lead a session, and what you think you might be able to lead, as well as if you think there's some things that you'd want to hear about that we can make sure gets on the agenda and we can talk about in some of the earliest forums that we put forth. So thanks once again, and Tim, I will turn it over to you.
Thanks, Jeff. Hi, everybody. Welcome. I'm going to do part of this. Jeff, we've hit our limit of 1,000 callers. You might have to let support know. People are going to start calling saying they can't get in.
I know we are filling up fast
Sorry.
here. It's been our best attendance yet. So thanks, everybody.
Don't hang up, anybody, because you won't get back in again. Okay, so let's start this off. I'm Tim Creagh. I'm the head of development and chief architect for RealNex. And in this webinar, I'm going to go over a broad spectrum of the platform. There'll be something in this webinar for anyone using our products and those interested in seeing what we have to offer. We're going to go through Marketplace, Market Edge, and the CRM. If you're not familiar with our Marketplace listings, it's something you should look at. It's completely free to add your listings, and it's free for anyone to search our platform and view your listings and message you. It might surprise you to see your listings already in Marketplace, as we get over 40,000 properties each week from a number of different services, as well as other software vendors who will let you syndicate your properties to RealNex. Syndicate meaning you check the box to RealNex and they send the properties over to our site. You can update your properties in RealNex, and you can do something very special. One of the things you can do from your properties and listings is you can do an email campaign and get all the results. You can update the information. As you see here, these are some of the fields. It's much more robust than you need for a listing, but the reason we do it is so that you can send this information over to our product Market Edge for analysis or proposals. Notice the button on this page that says Analyze, and a lot of people haven't noticed that. That sends your listing, all the photos, all the information, all the spaces, everything directly to our analysis software, where you can fill in just a couple of fields to do a flyer. And I'm going to do that here. I'm just going to go straight to output. And you can see that it generated a cover page for me automatically. I can change the fields on the cover page. So this information came from the database, from your listing, or from what you put into Market Edge, but you can change it on the page. We give you a whole bunch of different cover pages, so you can switch between portrait and landscape. If you want to, you can also do available spaces now. This is new. You can just enter the basic space information. You don't need to enter all of this. You could just enter in the name of the tenant and the rent, and then go down to lease reports. And we've added some lease reports for available spaces. There's a couple different formats. When you bring that up, we'll give you the page, and you can see the section in the middle where I've highlighted. That came directly from the listings that were in, the spaces that were in your listing. You can change the cover page, you can change the photo, you can resize the photos, you can move the photos around. You can also decide what's on the page besides the available spaces. I could go down and say, well, I want to change the information first. I want to set the term, and I want to set the use, and I want to change the availability. So you can do it right on the page. You don't have to go back to the tab like you do in other programs and change the information. You can change it right here on the page, trying to make it as simple as possible for you. I want to put a map down here in the corner. I can just drop a map in. It automatically puts the marker in. I can resize the map. I can change it to a different format like a satellite. I can move the map around. So if I want to center on a certain spot on the page, I can just move it around and drop it, and it stays there. I could put in paragraphs. I could put in bullet list. Let me zoom in a little bit and show you the controls you have once you drop in. I'm going to drop a bullet list in, but there's a bunch of things you can do. I can set how many different bullet lists I have. I can change the title. I can enter as many bullet lists as I want to. I can change the color of the text. I can change the background. It's very simple to use. I can change the bullet list to a numbered list. I can change the bullet type. It's all pretty simple. Anybody who's used Word is going to understand how to do this. But it's very powerful and very simple to use. And most of this data just comes right from what you put into the field, so you don't have to really enter a lot of information in. Another thing we have is customizable pages. Those are fairly new. The idea behind the customizable pages is you can pick from our list of templates whatever template you want to use. So I'm showing you a couple of the templates now, just so you get an idea. And when you pick a template, it basically just puts boxes on the screen that you can fill in with any of the widgets. So on this one, I'm going to put in a title and a subtitle, and maybe in the middle, I'll put in, say, a photo, and then down below, I'll put in paragraph and a map, let's say. You can put whatever you want in all these things. I'm going to make it 3 paragraphs instead of 1. And then the map, I'll just do the same thing and set the size and set the type. And it remembers all of this. You can have as many customizable pages as you want. There's no limit. So you can design your own flyer or your own package or your own proposal and add in what you want. You can also send these as a PDF, or in this case, put it on the web. And then you can just send out a link to your clients, and you can see how spectacular it looks. And I spent all of 5 minutes making this thing. But because the data was in there, it just generates the whole package, up to 82 pages of information. When would you use 82 pages? If you're doing a proposal for somebody to sell a property and you're trying to do an analysis. Flyer, you just do 2 pages. Deal rooms are also part of this Market Edge. And by the way, anybody who's CCIM pays for you to have Market Edge. The deal rooms, the investment analysis, the lease comparison, you get it for free with your dues. So if you're a CCIM and you haven't looked at this, you should take a look at it. It's better than what you're paying 3 times as much for, and in the case of CCIM, 1 billion times as much because you don't pay for it. We've added to deal rooms just We haven't released it yet. We'll release it right before Christmas, either Monday or Tuesday. Folders for deal rooms. So let me give you an idea of what folders do for you. First of all, on this opening page, these are all my deal rooms, and it shows you columns with start dates, end dates, is it active, how many clients there are, how many documents you have, and links to the CRM and to Market Edge for deal rooms and for histories and things like that. Here I've circled the document section, and that just shows me how many documents there are. I'm going to go to the one in the middle called RealNex Test, where I have 5 documents. And this is going to show you what it looks like today. When you go to documents, you get one folder, and all the files are in that one folder. So there's no way to separate them out. And what we're doing right now that we're going to release Monday or Tuesday is you can create folders. So in this case, I've created some documents, and the documents are set to a security level. So in our deal rooms, what we do is you add participants or they add themselves. You can send them an email saying, hey, join my deal room. And when they join, they have to fill in all their information. And you get that automatically back in our CRM. Or if you don't use our CRM, you just get an email with their information. You got to type it into your own, whatever you're using. But it comes back into our system automatically. And then you assign them a security level. Basic means they can see whatever's at the bottom level. So like a little poop sheet of the property is this size, the thing you'd send out in the mail to 1,000 people, not very much information. And they ask you to get clearance to go to another level, and you decide if you want them to or not. And as they move through the levels, they can see more and more information about the deal. So in this case, I've just created 3 levels. What I want to do as an example of how folders could work is create a folder for the different levels. So on the left-hand side where it says Home, I'm going to click the menu next to Home, and I'm just going to create a new folder. And you can see the other options in here that you can do. You can move folders around, you can rename folders, and I'm going to label my folders 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th, just so you can see a basic idea of how you might use this. You can do any structure you want. It doesn't matter what the structure is. And now I'm going to go over to the files, and I'm going to select the basic files, and in Actions, I'm going to tell it to move it to the 1st level basic folder. These are other things you can do, like set the security for a bunch of files at once, those kinds of things. And I'm going to do that for the other 2 as well. And you can see now I have folders underneath Home, and each of those have files in it. Now you can add not just files to a folder, which you can add files. So in this case, I'm going to the 4th level, and I'm going to say Upload, and I'm going to pick 3 files off my hard drive. And then I'm going to say Open, and down at the bottom where it says Start Upload, I'm going to upload them. And you see that I got those 3 files in my 4th level folder. I can also add folders to a folder. So let me go down to the 5th level, and I'm going to drag, because to add a folder, you have to drag it and drop it. I'm going to drag and drop the folder in, and you'll see that now under the 5th level, I have another folder called Operations. So you can make a tree structure. Let's open up a brand new deal room called Starbucks, and I'm going to take a folder off my hard drive, and I'm going to create the document folder. So from the Home, that's the basic, you always have Home, I'm going to upload files. I'm going to take a folder off my hard drive called Deals, and I'm going to drag it and drop it, and then go back and look at my documents. Got to upload the files first, so it takes a second because I have about 40 files in here. And now you see what it did? It created all the folders for me based on what was on my hard drive and put all the files in for me. So you can actually start the whole thing from your hard drive if you want to, or if you have a basic layout you use for most deals, you can just keep copying that folder layout, put stuff on your hard drive, and then just upload them all at once to the deal room and have them all categorized for you, making it really easy to find things. So deal rooms will be out next week. I mean, deal rooms are already out. Sorry, they're not going to be out next week, but the folders will be available next week. And I encourage you to take a look at it because it's a pretty cool program. And I'm working on deal rooms now. Those of you who have been following me, like I did on the flyer proposal generator, and Now I'm focused on deal rooms, so you're going to see deal rooms start to change quite a bit and become much more robust, much easier to use. Client interaction between you and the client, they'll be able to interact with you. Of course, they can see all the files you give them like they do now. So deal rooms are going to become much, much better. And they interact with the CRM and with the analysis packages. And of course, you get the analysis. If you have deal rooms, you have the comparison, the analysis, and the proposals, flyers, and the deal rooms are all part of the same thing. Never can leave out the CRM. On the CRM, for those of you who have been in the last couple of webinars, I've been focused on trying to make it easier to use. We've already added the functionality from the desktop. So the functionality in the desktop isn't an issue anymore. It's there. Most of our people are moving. We're getting between 25 and 40 people a week moving off the desktop to CRM only. Not forcing them to, they just are, because you can access it from anywhere. It has all the functionality the desktop has, and you don't have to keep a hard drive maintained and back and all that stuff. So what I realized, as I'm using this now too, I don't use a desktop at all anymore. I just use this. And so as I'm using it, I'm doing exactly what I did when I wrote REA. I'm finding spots that are bottlenecks for me. It's not functionality. It's just it takes too many keystrokes to do something. The functionality is there. So what we started doing is trying to figure out how to make certain things faster. One of the things that I found, I have 85,000 contacts in my database. That's a lot of contacts. So I have this keyword search up here at the top where I'm typing up here. And you can do what's called a contains search. For example, if I type in SM and I do search, it's going to look for the letters SM anywhere in any field, which is useless to me. Now, if you only have 100 records, maybe that works for you. But in my case, I would get thousands of records back, and that doesn't help me. And it also can be slow. If it's searching 80,000 records for SM, it takes a while. So I wanted a way to find people fast. And typically I'm looking up somebody's name, not two letters. So we added this button here that said it's off by default. It does a contains, just what it's always done. So you can type in part of a number, let's say 588, and search, and it'll find records that have 588 in them. When I turn on fast text search, you have to type a whole word. You don't have to type all the words, but you have to type a whole word. If I type Jon, it won't find Jonathan. It will only find people where there's a whole word Jon. But if I type in the whole word, like Jonathan, I know is a contact in here, it'll only find people with Jonathan as one of their words. And you can see Jonathan Anderson, and it's very fast. So even on an 80,000 record database, this will be less than a second. So you can turn that on or off. Use it as you want. Just know what it is. If you're looking up people's names and that's what you're doing and you're willing to type in their whole name, it's better to turn it on. Or if you're willing to type in their company, it's better to leave it on. It's faster. Up to you. Another thing that was making my life more time consuming was I was in this list and I was looking people up, and then I had to click their record and it opened up their record, and then I made changes, and then I had to go back to the list. That was time consuming. So we added the ability to split the screen. We did this about 2 months ago. Here on the right, underneath the add new, there's an arrow right here by columns. When you click that arrow, it opens up a split screen, so it shows you all the information about the contact on the right, but you can still have all of the functionality above to do filters, to search, all the stuff you could do in a list you can do while you see the full screen information about this person. And that's great for me because I'll focus on updating one thing. Like if I want to update the tenant information, I'll go to the tenant tab. I'll pull up, like I don't really need all this information about their name. I'm trying to update the lease information. So I don't need the space thing. I don't need the group thing. I just want to focus on lease. So I can set the screen up like this. And then as I go through the records, it will stay there. So I can just keep updating the fields as I go along. much easier to use. And if I'm doing phone calls, I might want to go to the history tab. So as I'm doing phone calls, I can read what happened, who else on my team contacted this person, what information we sent them, those kinds of things. So the split screen you can open or close anytime you want, but it is very useful to have. Another thing that I really enjoyed in the desktop, and you just don't see it in webs, I'm not sure why, because it's very helpful, and that's right clicks. So you're going to start seeing right clicks in the software, and they're going to get better and better as we go along. For example, if I'm on a history record, I could go over here to the menu, click the menu, then find the thing I want to do, and then click it. But you don't have to use the menu anymore. First thing we did is, if you left click on something like this first history, I'm going to left click, it automatically opens up the record. So you don't have to go to the menu, click the menu button, click edit. You just click the record and it opens up the edit button. While I was on this history, I was frustrated because I decided I wanted to call this guy next week, reading what he said, or I wanted to finish the history because I made the call and I wanted to create a follow-up 2 weeks from now. So we added a new button to history called follow-up. Well, right from the history record, you can click that button and it will create an event based on whatever's in the history record. You can change the date, you can change the text for the event, save it, and then save the history. And what you get is, with one click, you get a finished history that goes alongside of what you said today or last week or whenever it was, and you get an event for next week. Streamlines the whole functionality. This came from the desktop. Just changed my life as far as creating histories and creating events. So much faster and so much easier to use. I also got tired of typing things in. Like, let's say I wanted to link this record to somebody. You had to click this button. This is like the desktop does it. Then you had to select this button. Then you had to type in a name. Then you had to click search. Then you found the name, and then you said okay. You can still do that. And there's something you can do that's kind of cool in there. Let's say that I was trying to link 5 people at a company. I could go to the search and type in the company, and then I could select those people, and they all get attached to the event for me all at once. So that's kind of neat. But most of the time, I'm not doing that. Most of the time, what I'm doing is I'm trying to call one person, and maybe I'm trying to call about a specific property. So what I wanted to be able to do is just type them in. I don't want to go to that menu. So I'm going to start typing Jonathan, and it automatically starts pulling up matches for me. And I select them. And I want to do Balboa Office Park. So I just start typing that. So you can see how fast it is now to link somebody to an event. Same with projects. I don't want to have to go find it. I know what it's called. I can just start typing it in and it will pull it up. So when any place in the software that you see these fields where you can link something, you can still go to the button if you want, but it's a lot slower. It's a lot quicker to just type it in. You can't do that in the desktop. Desktop, you still have to go through all that searching stuff. This is the kind of thing that we're trying to do in the web now that streamlines it and makes it so much faster than what you can do, what you could have done in the old systems. Here's another example of how powerful these right clicks will be. Let's say that I'm just going through a list. Let me get back to the list of people. I'm going through this list and I see this person and I think, I want to call Antonio, or I want Nick to call Antonio. And Nick's on my team. I don't want to have to open up his record, go to the events tab, click the add thing. I just want to create an event for him. So we put these buttons up here at the top where it says dashboard, calendar, contacts, projects, companies. And one of the useful ones on this is under calendar. But if I click the button on any of these, it takes me directly to that table. And I'll leave contacts. I don't want to leave contacts. Notice that each of these buttons has a down arrow. That means there's a menu available now. So when I click the down arrow on the calendar, one of the new options is add an event. And if I click that, it leaves me on the contact and brings up an event. If I have selected multiple contacts, let's say I select these people, and I click add. Notice it automatically links them all for me, so I don't have to even do that anymore. Just put in the event and the date and save it. Well, that led me to think I'd like to create I just had a phone caller. I just met this guy, saw him at a Burger King, whatever, and I want to create a history, but I don't want to have to go through all those tabs. So this is what I'm working on now, and this will be your New Year's Eve present, because it won't be ready till New Year's Eve. So another 7 days, or I don't know, 10 days, whatever it is. You can right click on the person and get a menu. So right from here, without going anywhere, I can add an event, I can add a history, I can link that person to something, I can add them to a project, I can add an attachment, I can add them to a group. That's all I got to do. I don't have to do anything else. Just right click and pick what I want to do, and it will pull up that screen right on top of this contact screen, or whatever screen you're on, lets you link them, lets you add an attachment, lets you create a history, and then you just stay on the screen and you keep on working through it. So I just started working on that this morning, but I was pretty excited because I'm all about speed. I don't want to have to go clicking around and different tabs and all that stuff. Now sometimes I do because I want to read what happened in the past, but sometimes I'm just trying to do my work, and I'm trying to schedule things. I'm trying to get a list of things done and trying to document it. So everything is as fast as possible. And that's how I'm doing it, just by adding those things in. Another thing that happens to me quite often is I'll be looking at a contact and I want to look at the properties that they own. I don't want to lose the contact though. So we added these menus, and one of the options on every one of them is add, search, or I can also right click on the button, which isn't so obvious. When you right click on a button, you have the option to open it in a new window. That means I can open the properties in a brand new window, and it will open up the properties, and I can scale them side by side. So this is a pretty small monitor because I'm doing a webinar. I had to keep it small. But if you have a bigger monitor, you have properties next to contacts, and now as you go through contacts, you can see all the properties they own. Makes it really easy to follow them. And if you're doing split screen and you have a big enough monitor, you can see all the information about the property as well. That works from any of the tables. Just have to remember how to do it. To get that menu, you have to right click. It's not right on the button here. I can also search for somebody directly from here. So in my case, because I'm so interested in speed, I don't want to click contacts, wait for them to load, wait for them to open, then go to this keyword thing and then search for them. I want to open up the contact I want. So I click this arrow, and I have the option of opening them in another window. That's why you see the icon. That will open them up in a different tab. Or I can just search for them, which will change the calendar to a contact, put in their name, and let it search. But notice I didn't have to go through waiting for the window to load all the contacts and then search. Everything saves time. Maybe you're talking about 5 or 10 seconds, but to me, every second is another couple of bucks I lost. So I want everything to be as fast as it could possibly be. And that's really been my focus for the last 2 months now on the contacts on the CRM side. For those of you who haven't been paying attention, we added duplicate checking in the CRM. It's much more robust than what was in the desktop. Same idea. It's just a lot easier to use. You can, if you want, let's say that you imported the same contacts twice by accident. Well, in the desktop, tough luck. You have to do a duplicate check and merge them one by one. But in this duplicate checker, you can just say, find everybody, find all the duplicates by if they have the same last name, the same first name, the same phone number, the same company. Whatever, you can pick the fields. Doesn't matter what fields they are. Okay, if they have the exact same first, last name, phone number, company, and city, they're a duplicate. And it says you have 200 of them. Merge them. I don't need to go through it. Just merge them. They're exactly the same. I just imported the same thing twice, and it merges them all for you automatically. You can do it in, you can make it finite too. So where you say, I only want certain ones merged, but the merge is very simple to use and it's much more powerful than what we had on the desktop. We also have global replace now, which was on the desktop, but we've made it more robust. When you do a global replace, you do the same thing as you do on the desktop. You can select a field and you can set a value, but you can do as many as you want all at once. So if I'm trying to update 100 records and I'm trying to update 4 fields, on the desktop, I have to do 4 different global replaces. I have to keep going through the same steps to get to the second, third, fourth field. On the CRM, you can just do all fields at once. There's not a limit, but can't imagine anybody updating more than 4 or 5 fields at once with global replace. But it saves you a lot of time because you're doing them all with one replace, not over and over again. For filters, we've started adding what are called lookups. So I'll give you an example. When you do a filter, some fields have values in them that you can't type in. For example, property type. Property type comes from a list. It's up here under settings and system tables and property types. So someone in your company sets up the property types. Why do you do that? Why don't you just let me type it in? Because when I wrote REA in 1980s, I had guys in my office who couldn't spell office or they couldn't spell retail. And so they typed it in wrong. And then when we went to look for office buildings, we missed theirs because they put OFFISE or something, just didn't spell it right. So we hard code those in. We can put anything in this list we want. Your REA guy can put in whatever he wants in here and he can take out whatever he doesn't want. But the point is you can only pick off this list. So when you do a filter and you say property type, now we give you the list. So now you can just select which ones you want to filter for instead of having to type in the names and get them right. And there's still a couple of places where we don't have it, but we're adding them. We added a bunch today again. So if you're not seeing a list yet, you'll see it very shortly. Another place you might do that is in projects. Let's say that you want to filter for projects of a specific status. Status is a field that you can't type it in. You have to pick it off a list. So you get the list now. You can just check as many as you want, and it'll do that for project type, project status, project results. Wherever there's a list, it'll just bring up the list for you so you can select it. And I have a couple of filters I do all the time. And I don't want to keep typing them in every time. So I want to be able to save filters on whatever it's on, properties, doesn't matter what it's on, save them on anything you want, which we wrote, and we've had it in there for a while, and it worked fine. So you can go over here to load or save, and you can load a filter, and it'll just load it up. That was too much work for me. I'm changing filters all the time. I don't want to have to go to all these boxes. So when I create a filter, I have the option of making it a favorite. You notice the little star here? If I click the star, it turns dark, and that means it becomes a favorite. So what does that do, Tim? What that does is when you go to the filter menu, let me clear all these out. You don't have to do anything except a favorite means it shows up on the menu. So all I have to do is just pick it, and it automatically implements the filter, nothing else. And if I want to clear the filter, I can clear it from here. Now, I could still go in and do it the old way and recreate the filter every single time, but I'm all about speed. And I want it to be as fast as possible. So places where you're saving things, like filters, if you click the favorite button, and anybody in your team can do this. Let's say I create a really useful filter, and I star it. It's going to show up on my button, but not yours. Well, you can go into manage from filters. You can go into manage, and you can see all of the different filters that have been created, and you could star even one that I created, assuming I let you see it. When I create a filter, I can hide it. But let's say I did one everybody in the company could use. You can star that, and you can just start using it yourself. So everybody has this option. And when I added that, I thought, there's another place that I do this all the time. I'm constantly changing what I see in the list. So this is name, title, company, work, mobile. Let's say I wanted to work on tenants or investors. So I want to change all these columns. So I went over here to columns and I defined a bunch of columns, and you can see some in here that I've made up, right? I don't want to have to keep going through this thing. So when I hit columns, I want to just see my favorites right here. And when I click that, I want it to automatically change the columns to what I think was important for lease expirations. And that's showing me the fields that have to do with lease expirations. Then what I would do is I would click this arrow to split screen. I'd go to the tenant tab, and then I would sort them by whatever field was important to me. So in this case, I'm looking for expirations. So I'm going to sort them by lease expiration. And the people that don't have one in here yet are going to be the first ones because I sorted it alphabetically from lowest to highest. So I can just go to each one and know that I need to update this record. It doesn't have any of the stuff in it. And then when I see that I have 186 of them, I go to my runner and say, call these people and update their information. And then I just go get all the money. I hope there's no runners on this call. Probably is. Yeah, I don't see any. Jeff, I think that's all
awesome.
I can do.
No, that's
my voice is going.
Well, I know you've been.
I want to thank everybody. Thank you all. I see some really, really old people on the list.
They're
Bruce
not old
V.
people.
Evans.
They're
I haven't heard from you.
Loyal clients.
Bruce V. Evans, I thought you left us for some better looking program or something, but I'm glad to see you here. Back. It's a great list of people.
Hey Tim,
Chuck
one
Wiggins?
thing, if you could show,
smokes.
Can you show the concept of you're working a listing, you get a call on 1 Main Street, but that same prospect wants 5th and Main as well, and you actually talk to them about 3 or 4 projects at the same properties at the same time, and the ability to update with one entry multiple client activity reports. That sign call. That's been one great addition that I don't know if everyone's aware of.
Okay, when you add a history, you can create a history record for a client. So in this case, it's I don't know how to say that name, whatever that name is. Toured property, really interested. Okay, when I met with Eric, I was meeting him at my Balboa property, and he said, yeah, I kind of like this space. Do you have any others? And yeah, I do. I actually have 4 listings that have the same configuration, same location. Would you like to see them? Yeah, I'd like to see them all. Great. So when I get home, I want to create a history record, and I want to create a history for each of those projects because they're all owned by different people. And I want to get credit for showing this guy the space, but I don't want to create 5 histories that all say the same thing. I want to create one history and let the system create 5 histories for me. So how we do that is you type in the subject, you put in what kind of an event it was. Here's where the difference is. You can either type in the projects like this, or you could search for them too. The point is, you can put in as many as you want. And so what happens here is, in this case, I put in 3 projects. When I hit follow up, I'll get follow-ups for this guy that we toured these properties. But when I hit save for the history, it will create 3 separate histories, all the same, except one of them will be tied to the Balboa office project, one to Sri Dahara and one to Town Square. So when I do my marketing report, each owner gets this guy in their report, but they don't know anything about what other properties he saw because that isn't part of that history. Notice everything's the same, until you get to the project name. So now whoever owns Balboa Office Park will get the fact that this guy toured it, but he's not going to see the other stuff in there. So that was the goal, was to be able to create one history and have it create a follow-up for me and individual histories without me having to do that. We added that about a month and a half ago. That was a real popular thing in the desktop too.
Excellent. A few questions, Tim. I know the group is loving what they're seeing. One question was about units. When you showed the rent roll coming across, does a unit mix come across when you do the analyze?
Yes.
From either marketplace or from CRM or both?
Yeah. And I neglected to show something else. That I don't know how many people on the call use each product, so I tried not to spend too much time on each one. But I've added a new filter for
management and market.
Whatever this is called, investment analysis. So the filters are right here. So if you're in an office, you may have everybody in your office may be adding properties, which can be annoying. If you have a whole bunch of properties in there and you're trying to just see your own, you can just check this and it limits it to just yours, or all these different types. So as soon as you click something, it starts showing those properties for you. It's immediate. It's really a lot better interface than what we had before. And then I was doing I do analysis on properties, which a lot of you don't do, but it was kind of cumbersome to do. So one of the things that I found was cumbersome was rent rolls. And I have the rent roll. The guy gave me the rent roll in a spreadsheet. Why am I having to enter this thing? Look at all these fields I got to enter. So I added an import rent roll. And when you click that button, it gives you instructions. It's pretty simple to do. And it wants a spreadsheet. You can also export a rent roll to Excel. So all the things you've put in here, let's say you've put in the first 5 things, but there's 30 different columns, and it's just not very efficient doing it in here. But in Excel, it's really easy. So you can export your rent roll to Excel. It puts in all the columns, even the empty ones, with a header. Then you can just in Excel quickly enter everything in, do calculations to get rents and things, and then just bring that spreadsheet right back in. It's an extremely fast way to do it. But if you just have a rent roll, say the owner gave you, you can just import it in, and it automatically fills in all the fields that you give it. And if you don't give it a value, it leaves them blank. But boy, you can do an analysis on a property with this software. If you have a rent roll, even if you don't do things like the financials, the different loans and all that stuff, you can just bring in the rent roll, and you get, it's amazing what you get. I mean, it's not Argus, but it also takes 5 minutes, and it gives you a ton of information back, from graphs, projections, comparisons, rent rolls. Oh, yeah, this is, am I spending too much time on this? Because a lot of these people don't care about rent rolls.
No, I think it's great stuff. We do have some more questions, so get through I think what you're doing, and then we can move on to the next.
I forgot what it was. Oh, yeah. Well, one of the things people complained about is the rent roll. And a lot of this stuff was left over from the old REI-wise, which maybe some of you saw, and maybe that's why you're not using this, because you didn't realize all the work I did. But when you do a rent roll, it was showing you a bunch of fields that didn't have anything to do with a rent roll. So people were saying, can you fix that? And so we did. When you do a rent roll now, see if I can make this bigger so you can see it. Yeah, you can pick the fields that show up on the rent roll now. So it was showing TIs and commissions and all kinds of stuff that didn't really apply. So you can just click that edit page now, and you can pick what shows up on the page. That's pretty new. That's only been in about a month or so. This is kind of a weird one because it's obviously just junk data, but you can see how much nicer it is. And probably you all know that you can also change any of our packages from portrait to landscape. It automatically reformats all the data for you, so you don't have to do anything. Just change the orientation, we automatically change all the pages to fit landscape for you. So it's really very little you have to do. This property summary is very useful no matter what you're doing, even if it's a 2-page flyer. Property summary, you can put a picture in there, and then you can pick the fields that show up on the property summary. So these came from the general tab where I put in all the information. If I click here, I can select the fields that show up. So these are all the fields I have available, and I can just check the ones that I want to see on that page. Construction type, dock doors, elevators. But it's better than that. I can change the distance between the fields. So if I have a lot of fields, I can change the line height down so that things are closer together. You can see them all. I can add new fields that aren't even in the database. And I can change the label and the value on the field. So let's say I had purchase price. I want to move purchase price up to the top. Wow, that's great. That was pretty easy. And I don't want to put the price in. I want to say call for pricing. So we've made this so flexible, and I've looked at the other stuff out there, even the stuff that's very expensive, it doesn't do half of what we do. So if you haven't looked at this in a while, if you still think it's REI-wise, take a look at it. It's not. It's way better than anything you saw in the past. Very flexible. And don't think that you have to be doing investment analysis to use it, because we got all this stuff in here that seems to apply to, investment people. It works fine for leasing people. It works fine for 1-page flyers, and it works fine for proposals too. It's all the same package. It's just what do you want to use out of it. So you really should take a look at it if you haven't. For making any kind of flyer, package, or proposal, it's better than what you're using. It's a much better price, and it's more robust. I guarantee you it is. I've looked at everything.
Faster, easier, and cheaper. So
it's much faster, especially if you're doing it in Adobe. What's that thing called? I can't think of it.
InDesign or something. So a couple of questions about
one of those.
Outlook Sync. Just can you show how that gets set up, and do you have to have it if you're moving from the desktop? I know that you don't need to sync, but you can. And it was just a question about the power of the Outlook Sync.
You go to the My Account, the menu at the top, and you pick Sync. Now, you can't sync Gmail on the desktop, but you can on this. Most people are using Outlook. Go to Outlook. You click this button that will say Link, and you put in your email address, and it links it. Then you just tell it what you want to do. This is exactly, I just copied this from the desktop, so it's no different than what you have on the desktop. You can pick, you want it to go one way or both ways. In other words, do you want to send data up, but you don't want to receive it? Or do you want to receive it and not send it up? Or do you want to go both ways? How often do you sync? All of that stuff. My Outlook is closed, so it's trying to load Outlook now. I shouldn't have clicked that button. Anyway, that's all you do. You just set up the sync and fill in the blanks, and then you'll let it go and just let it sync. You can sync manually if you want to. I don't know why you would, but you can. That manually means it doesn't sync for you. You have to go to the screen and hit the sync button every time. Oh, shoot, that's what I did. I clicked sync by accident. I don't want this to sync to my Outlook.
Okay.
Shoot, I hope it didn't just sync a bunch of stuff. I wasn't paying attention to what I was doing. Jeff.
Sorry about that. Took you in the wrong direction.
Anyway, it's very simple to do.
Yep. Can we go? There's a question about the formatting of phone numbers and contacts and companies.
We don't format them. You just put in whatever you want in there. We may do that at some point, but we're not U.S. based anymore. We're worldwide. So when we do a format, we're going to get complaints. No matter which one we do, we're going to get complaints from people that are in a different country. So right now, you got to format it yourself. Dashes, parentheses, dots, whatever it is you want to do. Nothing. You have to do however you want to do it. I'll show you something else that was pretty interesting. When I was creating a contact, or any record for that matter, but mainly it's with contacts, I wanted to be able to set a timeline for them right when I created them. So we added that. You see timeline here where it says sequence. You can pick a timeline, and so when you add a contact or anything you want, you can actually set a timeline at that point, and immediately it puts it on your calendar. In 3 days, call them. In 5 days, send them a letter. In 8 days, take them to a Padre game, whatever your timeline is. So that was one thing. The second thing was, while I'm adding them, is when I'm usually thinking what groups I want them to be in. So we added groups too. Notice down here at the bottom, it automatically put them in Outlook Sync. If you have a sync set up, every time you add a contact, it automatically adds them to the sync, but I could take them out and I could add them to a different one. If I knew what the groups were, which I don't, this is a dummy database. Let's see, missing lat long, okay. I could just type it in and it does the same thing that all the other ones do. So while I'm adding a contact or any record, I can put them in a group while I'm thinking about it. What was happening to me was I was adding the contacts, then I'd get a phone call and I'd save it, and then I'd forget to go back and put them in the groups I wanted them in. So it was very important to me that they be on this screen and not make me go to another screen to do it. So that's probably only been in there for a month or so, maybe 6 weeks. So you may not have even noticed it's there. But it's a great place to have it, because this is where I usually think of doing it. Sorry, Jeff, I just thought of that, so I thought I'd mention it.
That's great stuff, and that's a really valuable tool that's in the system that I think is underutilized. So good to show everyone how that both the timeline and the group settings worked. I think we have addressed all of the questions. There's one other's just archiving for the state licensing requirements when you close out a deal in a deal room or in CRM. Can you get that information into another archive, or do you use RealNex as the archive?
I don't understand what
the closed deal file
have to do with licensing.
It's basically you need to have a closed deal file for a potential audit from the Real Estate Commission. They want to see all the contracts and form, the agreements and all of that information.
Well, you can set the status of a deal room to active or closed or suspended, hidden. Is that what you mean? Just so you can keep the deal rooms around?
Keep the deal room, but you just archive it, and you've got all of your documentation there for ever having an audit. And I guess you could do the same thing in CRM with the attachments folder. I know some people use that in that way. Just have all of their documents.
We don't really archive them, but they don't go anywhere. They just stay there. So, like in the deal room, the deal room's not going to go anywhere. It's just going to stay there, but you're not going to be using it. So you can go back and open it up, and you can see all the participants and all the documentation and who opened what, when they opened it, when they signed off on it. So that's what we have. I don't know about archiving it. Maybe somebody can enlighten me and we can figure out if that's useful to do.
I think that covers it. So again, we appreciate all of your time, the great work, Tim, and the progress of the platform in 2019. I know it's going to even be more exciting with the roadmap we have for 2020. Many of the ideas that we have to enhance the system come from you guys, so please ping us with your thoughts of things that we need to do to enhance the system. We'll evaluate them and put them on the roadmap and put the highest priority, highest impact, and highest value items to the top and get them done and implemented. And again, if you think you might want to lead one of the user group sessions and you like the idea, send me a note, jfin@realnex.com. And if you just want to learn more about it as we look to build it, or you have some ideas on how we can make the most of that concept, send me a note. That would be great. Otherwise, we wish you a very happy holiday, a great and successful new year, and We look forward to your continued support and taking advantage of the ever-evolving RealNex platform. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Tim. Talk to you soon.
Fun to see all the people on this list.
It is.
Some of these guys I haven't seen in like 10 years. Coming out of the woodworks. Great to see you all. Yeah, I'm shocked some of these people are still around. Thought you'd all be retired by now and I'd be the only one working. See you guys. Thanks.
Bye-bye.